super excited about the new Fantastic Four movie. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. Chesapeake Dinner Mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, and welcome back. Steve Hilton leading in the polls for governor of California. That's pretty exciting.
It's amazing. It's the first one that I've been in since I announced my candidacy, and I'm leading by 1 point from Katie Porter.
Are you leading? I got a recipe for you here.
I know. We're gonna get. That's the real stuff we're gonna get into.
We'll get into that. But now, is Gavin Newsom in that poll?
No, because he's not running again. So this poll was only the declared candidates. They had all the declared candidates.
And Newsom's not running again.
He's not running again. He's termed out. He's running for president.
Oh, he's termed out. Yeah, he's going to run for president.
That's why he's doesn't care anything about what's going on here.
I know.
And so I was on 19%, Katie Porter 18%, everyone else like low single digits.
So Katie Porter is an idiot. She is a total idiot. And I had no idea who she was. And I don't know if you know who she is, but she's kind of that Hausfrau minivan driving. The left loves people like her. But she's a dumb cow. And I can prove it because about 5 years ago, maybe a little more, there was a campaign. And there was a campaign by B of A or Washington Mutual, whatever, a bank. And they tried to run a cute little campaign where you were having a dialogue with your savings account. And the way it would work is you would say to your savings account, like, hey, how come there's not more money in you? Okay. And your savings account would go, well, maybe you should make a cup of coffee instead of spending $7 for a cup of coffee. And then you'd say, like, I need more money in my savings account. And then the savings account would say, well, maybe you should cook at home instead of eating out so much. So it was this sort of cute little...
A little bit scoldy, honestly.
A little scoldy, but innocuous.
Yeah, I get what they're trying to do.
Your savings account was saying, instead of taking an Uber for that mile, just walk. You'll save money and get some exercise. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, the savings account is just what you would tell your kids.
Yes.
You would tell your kids. Fair point. Your kids would say, I don't have enough money to go out on Saturday night. And you go, well, stop going to Starbucks every Monday and spending $8 at Starbucks and you'd have some money. I'll make a pot of coffee at home. You know, right? So that was all it was. And Katie Porter felt like she needed to chime in and get involved with this. All right. So the bank account, this is Chase. I don't know what the date is from this, but I mean, it's about 5 years old. Chase, we've talked about before. Why is my balance so low? Bank account, make coffee at home. Bank account, eat food that's already in the fridge. Bank account, you don't need a cab. It's only 3 blocks. Okay, so it's basically your bank account telling you do things that your grandparents did and that everyone who came before you did. Ostensibly, and that everyone hopes their kids do. And by the way, you should be doing as well. Eating out a lot, not getting exercise, not good. Better, healthier. Forget about economically, but it's just a better idea to walk when you can walk and cook at home when you can cook at home. Katie Porter's fat, retarded ass had to chime in on the most basic thing, and she tweeted, yeah, this is from 6 years ago. She went, hey, Chase, try paying your workers more. Families aren't spending frivolously. They're trying to pay rent. Now,
wait. I don't know. None of that makes sense.
Of course, because she's a socialist fat idiot.
No, but if
it doesn't even make... The whole point is no one even has to make sense anymore.
I know, but even if you take what she's saying there, about, trying to pay rent. Okay, fine. It's the same advice, actually.
Yes.
Like, it's actually the same as what they're saying.
Well,
even if you take her thing.
If you had trouble paying rent, let's all just view it through the lens of our children.
That's what I'm saying, even within her own thing.
Right. My child said to me, I'm having trouble paying rent. I would say, why don't you stop eating at Starbucks every single morning and save a little money for rent? Or stop going to Grubhub and wasting all that money. Cook something sensible at home. Or stop using Uber so much. Why don't you walk a little bit? This is all stuff you would say about rent. But she's a really dumb socialist.
No. Did you just remember this when I said Katie Porter and this popped? You haven't been saving this up to you. You just thought of this.
Well,
because it's stuck in your mind as being so ridiculous.
This, and it's so ridiculous. But here's what it is. And I want everyone to understand how my brain works. But your brain should work like my brain. Everyone's brain should work like my brain. When I hear Dumbo number 2, Nithya Raman, giving a lecture about blaming Toyota for making it so easy to steal catalytic converters, I go, that's a dumb, broken brain. That is a broken, dumb brain. And I don't want the dumb, broken brain near anything. You understand?
Yes.
This is Jerry Lewis sort of antics from the 50s. I don't want that dumb bellman. I don't want him working on rockets. I don't want him flying airplanes. I don't want him driving with me in the car. I don't want that dumb broken brain anywhere. So I don't want Nithya Raman's brain or Katie Porter's brain on anything, because their same brain that thinks this way is going to then be in charge of the fire department, the police department, and infrastructure.
No, it's brilliant. And actually, first of all, it just makes no sense in its own terms, right? Even if you take what she's saying seriously, it doesn't make sense, right?
Chase, try paying your workers more. But families aren't spending frivolously. But they are spending frivolously.
But it's a brilliant one, because actually it also reveals the kind of fundamental economic mistake that all of these Democrats are making in California. It's actually highly revealing of something that I've called in California the Democrat doom loop, which is that they correctly observe, like she does here, trying to pay rent. That's a real thing. Rent is really high. Housing costs are really high in California. That's true. So we literally have the highest housing costs in the country.
Right.
So what's the answer? Pay your workers more. What's that going to do? Raise everyone's costs. What's that going to do? Make everything more expensive. Like, it's totally the opposite of what you need, which is, let's figure out why rent is so high, because of the stupid taxes and regulations and the impossibility of building anything, and rent control, which means people don't want to put their properties out on the market for rent. On and on. All these ridiculous Democrat policies, which she supports, are the reason that they can't afford rent.
I 100% agree. And I'm only laughing because I'm looking at your right arm. And yesterday, someone got a little gesticulation, knocked the glass over, and your hand is like,
I'm moving it.
And you're looking at me, and I'm like, the glass is going to go flying. It happened. It happened.
Well, get so worked up
yesterday.
So soon.
No, you got to cool off. You got to hydrate. Yeah. So what I'm saying, all I know about Katy Perry, she's dumb.
Porter.
I mean, Katy Perry. Well, let me finish. Katy Perry's dumb, and so is Katie Porter. That's everyone.
Maybe Katy Perry should run for governor. How about that?
I'd take Katie Segal at this point. So she's dumb, but also she's got her head in the wrong place. And you're right. Their plan is, why don't we just pay everyone who works at Taco Bell $50 an hour so they would be rich too? Which is a adolescent insane. You know what it is? I'll tell you the thought I had. You want to know the thought I had? And it's the same as this. When I was about 8 years old, lived out here, whole gas crunch and rationing and gas. It was OPEC stuff. It was a big part of the gas thing, right? And it was like, we got to get cars to get better mileage. And my thought as an 8-year-old, and I really had this thought, I was like, I get it, all these big American cars, Cadillacs and Buicks and stuff, huge, and they're getting bad mileage. I was like, and everyone's like, that's a big V8 gas guzzler. I'd say, why don't we just take the Volkswagen engine and put it into the Cadillac? And to an 8-year-old Adam Carolla, Excelsior.
Makes sense.
It was genius. Now, it wouldn't work. Cadillac wouldn't perform. It would die. We couldn't get up the hill and everything. But in my brain, it was like, just do this and do that. The car gets 10 miles to the gallon. Take an engine from the car, gets 30 miles a gallon, and put it in. And it's basically the same thought. Give them $50 an hour so that they could have money too. And the cost of burritos would never go up at Taco Bell.
I know, and every time you think that they've got, peak of this kind of insanity, it comes out with more. So now we have LA $30 an hour, for real. Like, it's $30 an hour. That's an actual plan that they have. Where is it? In parts of the city? They're near the airport, right? They wanted to do that. And then Mamdani's doing this in New York. That's the actual policy. $30 an hour minimum wage. We'll be at 50 before you know it.
Again, it's a consequence. They have no idea what's going on. I don't know why there's not more people around them who sort of can explain. Everything for them is unintended consequences. So they go, well, COVID's bad. Lock the schools down for a couple years. Like, well, that's going to have problems. That's going to make problems down the road. Why don't we see if it's dangerous for kids? Lock it down. Okay. Defund the police. Okay. Everything they do is unintended consequences, and it always comes, why don't we just have a clean needle exchange so people could get their needles at the parks? And okay, the park's not usable anymore. There's junkies everywhere. Every one of their plans is a bad plan because none of it takes into account the unintended consequences.
Yes.
Why don't we just get more money from car manufacturers in California? No, they move. They're gone.
Well,
they all leave.
The climate stuff especially, like you just saw it just now with Newsom. For years, he's been, the big oil is ripping us off.
Right, they're
and
gouging.
They're price gouging and this and that. And then we're going to squeeze them, we're going to regulate them, we're going to do all this. Okay, so the refineries shut down and actually leave the state because they've had enough. So then he's in a panic because the gas prices are going $5 and the projection is $6, $7.
Yeah.
And then he says to his regulators, this is terrible, they're leaving, the California Energy Commission, and he writes a letter to them, a public letter saying, what's going on with these refineries? It's crazy. They're leaving the state. Please try and figure out something with these people. I mean, it's just insane.
But listen, everybody, if you'd like to get to the truth, it's pretty much there in a very basic kind of horse sense kind of way. If big oil, the big oil, and they're BP or Chevron or whatever, if they were gouging people, why only in the state of California? Why? There's Nevada, there's Oregon, there's many other states. If just saying, if I'm in the business, I mean, if I forget about oil, let's just say I sell peanut butter snack crackers and I'm going to gouge. Then gouge in every state in the union so I can make maximum profit. Why just one state? And also, it would also look weird and obvious if I just did it in one state. So obviously it's not that, or they'd be doing it everywhere.
Course.
And like this whole thing that people are talking about now, when they're talking about Putin and Russia and Trump and Hillary Clinton and Steele dossier and everything. Okay, really just break it down. Do you think Putin and Russia wanted Trump to be elected over Hillary Clinton? First off, there's documents that say that guy's erratic and we don't know what he's going to do. We'd much rather have Hillary Clinton because she's a lot more stable and we know what we're going to get with her and we can probably get away with more. But if Russia was to interfere with the election, why would they want the erratic guy they can't trust or control and who scares them a little bit? And if Putin and Trump are such good buddies, how come Trump can't get anything done with Putin and hates Putin? Like, if that's his buddy who got him elected, why isn't he playing ball?
None of it makes sense. I mean, exactly. And then the first term, he was the one that started sending weapons to Ukraine anyway. He was the one that canceled the pipeline because it made no sense to him. Like, the Europeans constantly tell us that Putin is, that's that famous breakfast where I was cheering him on. It's one of the greatest moments, I think, in all of diplomacy because it wasn't diplomatic, where he's just sitting there saying, you guys keep telling me we have to give you all this money to protect against Putin. At the same time, you've got this deal with him buying his gas. And what is this? It doesn't make any sense.
And Germans started laughing at him. And
everyone in the UN, they were laughing, what does he know? And then basically he cancels the deal. And then Biden brings it back. And so this is, and it's such a perfect example of the left generally, where what you say is the only thing that matters. And what happens in reality they just don't care about.
Yeah, so you don't need to read any files or Mueller reports or listen to Tulsi Gabbard give a speech. You just think to yourself as a rational person, who would, any one of our enemies, who would they rather have? Would they rather have Obama? Would they rather have Hillary Clinton? Would they rather have, anyone would rather have Joe Biden. He's a stuffed suit. He's brain dead. You could do whatever you wanted with Joe Biden, as they did. Forget about countries. Let's just say you're in a prison. Wouldn't you want Joe Biden to be the warden? Because you could do whatever you wanted.
Exactly.
You could make Pruno in your toilet. You'd have movie night.
Is that another recipe we're going to get into?
We're going to get into making prison toilet wine. The whole point is, or would you want some strong-armed guy who's going to enforce a bunch of laws, lights out at 8? You wouldn't want it. So just using your sense.
Yes.
You wouldn't want that. And just using your sense, why would Chevron only gouge California?
But it's ridiculous. They want to say, it makes no sense. And that's why, and I looked into it because I went through and I tried to do the math on it. We've done the math. And actually, when you look at the prices, and that's why, it's my first kind of really specific policy pledge in my governor race, which is I'm going to get most of the things that make the price so high here. It's not actually the gas tax. We talk a lot about the gas tax. Yes, that is the highest in the country. It's about 65 cents of it. But all the rest of it are these regulations, the low carbon fuel standard, cap and trade, the refinery regulations, summer blend, all of this stuff. None of it is necessary. It's all just total climate bullshit that doesn't deliver even their own objectives. So you roll all of that back, and that's the pledge I made. We'll get to $3 gas. And we can do that in California. By the way, you say that on a national show, and everyone says, what's the big deal? We have like $2.50. In California, that's like heaven, $3 gas. Amazing.
Yeah. I just got back from Wisconsin. So I got to drive around Wisconsin, and everything started with a 2.
Exactly.
And everything here starts with a 5, and it's going to start with a 6. So I saw you, Steve, last night on Jesse Waters' show, and you guys got into this whole fundraising for the fire, which is going to end up being worse than the old fire festival. This is the new fire debacle. They raised about $100 million. Yes. We have no idea where the money is. And as per usual, it's weird. So California is interesting because I think when you think of these corrupt states, everyone has a kind of New Jersey, kind of Nevada, New Orleans, Louisiana, corrupt politicians, mafia payoffs and stuff. I would argue California wastes more money and is more corrupt than any other. We do it in flip-flops and board shorts, and we have women in charge. And we go, well, that's a woman. She's not a mafiosa type. She doesn't have a pinky ring. She drives a minivan. And then we just launder money and waste money. Yeah. I mean, we have $24 billion on homelessness, and I don't know what. No one knows where it went. We have, a railroad with billions into it. Nothing to show for it.
This is the same. It's the same.
Now there's $100 million for relief for the Palisades, Malibu, Altadena fire. Well, let's just watch the clip. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Is this how California always operates, Steve?
Yes. I mean, Jesse, this is basically it's like a parody of California corruption and craziness, except it's all true. I've got a couple more for you, Jesse. One of the organizations that they gave money to is in Sonoma County, which is like nowhere near LA. And another one says that it spends its money on multi-generational power building. We don't need power building in Los Angeles. We need house building. But they're not doing that. They're not doing any of the things that they promised. Gavin Newsom in January promised a Marshall Plan to rebuild LA. I did a press conference just a few days ago, the 6-month anniversary of the fires, standing outside a pile of rubble and debris where he couldn't even clear the sidewalk in 6 months. It's a total joke. And the thing is that when they say that they're going to do something, this is why it's so true. And what you said is exactly right. Everything in California is like this. They don't care about the actual results. They just say some grand thing, make themselves feel good, have good intentions, but the results don't matter. You see it with homelessness, where billions of dollars are spent, but in the end, the problem just gets worse. You see Newsom bragging about, we're the fourth biggest economy in the world. Yeah, we have the highest unemployment in the country, the highest poverty rate in the country. The results are always a disaster with these people.
If none of the money really gets to any of these fire victims and it's just fleeced by the nonprofits, should there be a criminal investigation?
Definitely. I mean, the people who gave money, the people who went to those concerts and donated, they acted in good faith. I remember friends of mine went, they had real compassion, people of faith. They've been ripped off. They've been cheated. I mean, there needs to be a criminal investigation.
What about Lady Gaga? What about Stevie Wonder? I mean, these guys spent all night singing, dancing, and they thought they were going to give $100 million to the people of Southern California. Why aren't they speaking out?
Well, because in the end, this is the Democrat machine, isn't it? The activists and the politicians and the do-gooders and the non-profits, they're all in the celebrities, they're all in the same kind of swamp of good intentions but terrible results. But I think next year, that's why I'm running for governor, Jesse. We're going to change this in California. People are sick of this nonsense. And this is a real wake-up call, actually, this FireAid story. It's so shocking to exploit people's good intentions and rip them off and siphon the money off to the same old political non-profits and activist lefty groups fighting ICE and immigration enforcement by the Trump administration. That's not why people gave money. They want to help people. And now they've been really revealed, the people in charge in California and in LA, for what they really are. And I think it's a wake-up call.
All right.
I agree with him.
You agree with that bald guy? Yeah. Listen, this whole NGO thing is going to turn out to be the story of the century.
I think that's right. Exactly.
And nobody really knew about it. So there's massive amounts of money going to these non-governmental organizations who allocate it for political purposes and not to solve whatever the problem was that they start. First off, they all give themselves a super euphemistic title, you know, foot forward first, or children first, or, you know, the land managers or something. They give some sort of pie in the sky euphemistic title, and then they get a whole bunch of money and they pay all their own, and then they're also paid to do the bidding of the Democratic Party, and then nothing ever comes out the other end.
Exactly right. And this is very exciting. I think it's a real theme to dig into, because it does explain all of it, because they give themselves the money and then they spend that money talking and having conferences and all these publications. You pick up any of these publications, it's full of total bullshit. Stakeholder this and strategies for that, equity, blah, 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 on and on. No actual results. The other aspect of it that's so important, if you go to Sacramento, it's all one thing. They call it, and so I've heard this many times now, on the Democrat side, they call it the groups. That's their term for it. Oh, we need to talk to the groups about whatever it is they're doing. And then you've got the revolving door, the people going in and out, the politicians, their aides, their press officers, the legislative aides. You know, one minute they're sort of strategy director at one of these ridiculous organizations with the great sounding name. Then they're the legislative aide to the, you know, I don't know, Senate committee head that deals with the exact thing that they've just been working on. It's totally corrupt. And our money is funding all of this.
And also, it is an explanation, though. I mean, to be fair to them, if you go, how do we spend $24 billion on homelessness? And I don't see one bunkhouse. I don't see a hospital built. I don't see a hospital ship parked in the harbor where we have housing, temporary facilities for. You drive through the city, you see more homelessness, and you see nothing. So you go, well, where'd $24 billion go? And we go, oh, well, now we have an answer. It went to them, and it didn't come out.
And the thing is that everything that they do is like this, and they think making the announcement, or like Newsom, where he said, I went and watched the video. He did it in that NBC interview when he was wandering around the ruins, you know, shaking his shoulders or whatever.
Right.
And he said, we're going to have a Marshall Plan.
Yeah.
And he thinks, okay, that's done now. I've done. I said there would be a Marshall Plan. No one bothers to follow up and say, wait, was there a Marshall Plan?
No, I think something I talk about all the time. And by the way, BLM is no different. It's like how many billions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars did they generate? Look around. Anything different? Anything better? What do we got? What's
exactly
come out the other end? Anything? So first off, don't expect anything with these people.
Yes, exactly.
Number one, like you go, I'm going to give BLM some money so they can what? Buy a house in Topanga? Don't do it.
That's literally what happened.
Yeah. So it's millions of dollars. There's a story, which is I was reading, which one of them was going to like a Native American.
Yeah, the vote initiative.
I live in Malibu. I defy anyone to find a Native American in Malibu.
Well,
you could walk PCH until you wore your shoes out. You would never find.
They found, I think, I don't know if they affected or not, but they found 16 people.
Well,
right? And I would say, like, okay, fine. Even if 16 people got some money from this fire, but that they didn't. That was just the number that they found.
Well, let me. I don't want to go all Liz Warren on you, but. When you say 16 people, Native American, 16, we're not talking like from the movies. We're talking about the white chick with the blue eyes who claims she gets her tenacity because she's 132nd Iroquois and she loves Cher. That's who you're talking about. So I didn't even call that Native American. You know what I'm saying? They're 16. All right, okay. So out of 10,000 people, there's 16. In the article,
but even they didn't get anything. Actually, they didn't get any actual money.
They didn't get anything either. But the group
got it.
That gets Native American. There's a group that basically is there to try to get Native Americans to vote Democratic.
Yes, that's
and they
exactly
got money.
Right, that's it.
That's how it works.
From FireAid.
But nobody. I live in Malibu. I've not seen a person. I've not heard a word. There's no the government's going to come by and I'll get my grant and then I'll be able to start rebuilding or whatever. They help me buy. Look, an Airstream trailer. It was 13. It was $41,000, but because of the concert, they paid 40% of that, and now I've parked the Airstream trailer on my property, and I'm able to live there. Just something like that.
Exactly.
Nothing. There's nothing.
Well, this is the point.
And there's not going to be anything, and no one cares.
But honestly, that's why I think this story is important. We can't let it go. And people can really understand it, really relate to it. And all of it's like this. I remember seeing Newsom on Bill Maher one time, and Bill was asking him about, he's obsessed with water and we're using so much water. And he's completely wrong on this anyway.
Right.
And he was complaining about how much water with the farmers and the almonds and whatever. And Gavin, I don't want to get into the whole conversation about that, but just about the way they operate. So Gavin then says, oh, well, actually, we're doing really well on water. We've got a new water strategy. And we're doing, we have 20 demonstration projects for desalination and this and that, right? And Bill Maher, because he just says, oh, amazing. And I literally remember what he said. He said, oh, you're really good at this, he said to Newsom.
Right.
Right around that time, for my policy organization, my book, I was preparing our own policy paper on water. And I thought, well, if he's got this great water, I better read it and take account. I don't want to be repeat. Maybe it is good. Mm-hmm. Maybe they've got good ideas here. I want to make sure I've read it. I get their water strategy, like 250 pages of bullshit. I'm reading through, like waiting to get to the actual projects, like that he just talked about. Mm-hmm. Page after page, chapter after chapter, absolute nonsense, like equity, sustainability, this and that, stakeholder consultation, on and on, community, blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't know, page 173, there's a little table of some, and it's got demonstration projects, and that's what he's talking about. And you add up the total amount of water, it's like 0.001% of our total thing. It's nothing. It's just nothing.
Yes.
And this is what they're like. They think that publishing the document is the same as doing something.
Well, let's take a deep psychological dive. First, I will tell you, California Native Vote Project. Again, it always sounds so good. California Native Vote Project. The California Native Vote Project is officially nonpartisan, but they always say, they have to say we're nonpartisan so they can get money.
Exactly.
But its political ideology is radical. It boasts of success in removing statues of Christopher Columbus, and it opposes the enforcement of federal immigration law, standing with the undocumented population against immigration and customs enforcement. Right. So they're just the radical group. Now, why they need money to rebuild Jake Steinfeld, Body by Jake's house in the Palisades, I don't know why any money should go to them. But that's the New World Order, and nothing comes out the other end. So that's what we do in California. And you're right, all the people, all the artists who play to raise the money all vote leftist.
Yes, that's
so they're not going to call their own people out, and they don't care either way. Morgan and Morgan. All right, let's get real for a minute. Everyone talks about summer being sunshine and backyards and barbecues. But you know, as well as I do, summer is also prime time for accidents. Every slip by the pool, maybe you got rear-ended on the way to the beach. That's why you need to know about Morgan and Morgan. These guys are good folk, spoken to them. And like I said, they have a sense of humor, which is kind of nice in that world, because some of those guys are stiffs. They brought in more than $25 billion. That's billion with a B, everyone, for clients just like you. I'm talking real stories. One guy got offered $500,000 for his injury, ended up with $29 million, thanks to Morgan and Morgan. That's why they're America's largest injury law firm. Right, Dawson?
Hiring the wrong firm could be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. With Morgan & Morgan, it's easy to get started, and their fee is free unless they win. Just visit forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529. This is a paid advertisement.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You know the jingle. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road, y'all. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and parts and knowledge you need to keep and maintain and repair that vehicle. Cars ain't cheap these days. You want to get all the use you can out of them, or sometimes it's a hobby. You just like to wrench. Prepping myself a 510 to bring to Monterey in a few weeks, and I'm going to go buy O'Reilly. Got to get some plugs, got to get some seals, got to get some fluids, got to get some stuff. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. So what you're talking about is something that I talk a lot about, and I think people think I'm just bloviating about stuff, but I'm really serious about this subject, which is process people.
Yes.
Versus let's do it.
It's
people.
The heart of it.
It's the heart of all the problems. So
yes.
Karen Bass is a process person, and Donald Trump is a builder.
Exactly.
And Rick Caruso is a builder, and Gavin Newsom's a process person. Gavin Newsom sat here with me and told me about this problem, which is black and brown people not having access to checking accounts. And I asked him 15 different ways what the problem was and what are we going to do about it. And he's never answered. He just kept talking in a circle. And then at some point he said, I don't want to have a sociological discussion. I'm like, no, I want to know what are you doing? What is the problem? What is the problem? Is it the family? Is it the parents? Is it in the air? Is it radon gas? I don't know. What I want to talk about it. And he's like, I don't want. He kept saying he wanted to fix this problem. So he had a problem. The problem is black and brown people don't have access to checking accounts at an alarming rate in his state. At 50% is what he said. Now, obviously, he's lying, and he's also using the word access wildly incorrectly because anybody can go get a checking account if you want to get a checking account. I'm guessing they don't want one. But either way, after trying to corner him, the slippery eel that is Gavin Newsom, after attempting to corner him 15 times, I eventually gave up because he offered no solution. Like if he said, well, all right, 50% of black and brown people in California do not have access to a checking account. So what I've done is I'm doing something called the checking account mobile. And I've taken these vans like bookmobiles and bloodmobiles, and I'm taking them to the neighborhoods where these kids and these people don't have access to checking accounts.
Yes, exactly.
And B of A is working with me and Washington Mutual, and we're pregnant, and we're going to send their folks, and we're going to bring these people in, and we're going to get them registered. Then I'd go, okay.
It's practical.
He doesn't do that. He's a process person.
Yes.
And Nithya Raman blames Toyota for making the catalytic converters too easy to steal, and now she's done with catalytic converter theft. And Katie Porter doesn't like B of A, so she chimes in, but she doesn't say anything about saving money or saving for rent.
They're all like this.
Okay, here's
Karen
an
Bass,
issue.
totally like this.
Who? Sorry?
Karen Bass.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. Women probably are more process-oriented than men. Men are, I've just thought of this, but here's how it goes. Husband and wife bring home a bookshelf from IKEA, right?
Yep.
And they open the box in the living room, and the woman reaches for the instructions, and the guy reaches for the Allen wrench.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's going for the Allen wrench.
Yeah.
And she's looking, going, oh, no, slow down now. Let's see, part A. And he's going, I'm putting this bitch together.
Exactly right.
Right? And she's going, slow down. And
I think I've literally been one half of that couple.
Right. And so at some point, the woman goes, look, it's a little bit late. Why don't I just read this tonight and then tomorrow? Well, the guy's like, I'm on this shit. I'm doing it now. And that's your impulse, right? And so what we do, and I know it because I come from a group of process people, not do shit people. And again, it's not exclusive to men or women, because there are plenty of women who aren't that way, and there are plenty of men who aren't that way. But I would say if you were to put a number to it, women are more likely to be process people. Like you can say, well, there's women race car drivers. You go, yeah, but right now there is nobody in Formula One with ovaries. And then you go, well, why is that right? Well, because men have a spatial relationship and a thing. In general, they process that better. Right. So if you get enough women and you make them the city council and the mayor and the governor and whoever, you're going to get a lot of process. And so what Karen Bass wants to do is sit around and talk about everything. And she doesn't, she did an interview. You guys can find this, but she did an interview with Martha, whatever her name is, CBS Weekend. I saw the woman whose hair is 26, but her face is 73. Let's see what figure her out. At some point, the face has to catch up to the hair. But anyway, she's sitting with Karen Bass, and she said, she's talking about ICE and all this stuff. She just talks about what process people talk about, what they don't want or who they're going to fight, but they never talk about what can be or what is or what I'm going to do. And she basically said to Karen Bass, is there anything Trump's done at the border that you like? Anything you approve of? Anything you agree on with him? And she was like, I'd have to look into that. It's just he shut the border down, bitch. Good.
That's amazing.
A good thing.
It's like Kamala with the Biden thing. But there's
Wait,
I think I told you that. I can't remember we talked about this before. I mean, the perfect illustration was Karen Bass, where with the building permits.
That was the greatest.
Where she says, I've just signed the executive order streamlining permitting. And then you watch what she actually said. That was her post on the thing. And you watch on the actual press conference, she literally, I remember it because it's so insane. She goes, I've just signed an executive order tasking agency heads with developing paths forward to streamlining.
Paths. They love paths forward.
What the fuck? I mean, seriously.
They don't.
And she probably really sincerely believes she's done something useful there.
Well, in a weird way, the process people are the same as the race hustlers, the sort of Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons, and they just talk and talk and talk and pontificate and talk about being treated with dignity, and then swing back. Historically, in 1951 in Selma, Alabama, a black man couldn't bear. It's 2025. Why do we keep going back to 1951? All right. It's almost like they get paid by the syllable.
But I think also you get a lot of this in the situation you have in California, one-party rule. It's the political machine. It kind of produces these people whose only skill is navigating the machine and saying the right thing to the groups and the unions and whatever, instead of actually doing anything.
It's also a kind of a version of it's like if a cop pulled you over and said, "Have you been drinking tonight? You were swerving back there," and then said, "I'll give you the breathalyzer when you're done talking." And then you just went, "Well, first off, I'm a Christian. I'm a father. I'm a taxpayer. I support the law on this." And you just went on for 4 hours until you got sober. And then you went, "All right, let's take that breathalyzer now." They just talk and talk talk because the results aren't there. The results are filth and homelessness and theft.
That's the characteristic of Newsom when he does these interviews.
Right. He just talks.
And you've got to pin him down. None of these people ever pin him down.
Oh.
That's right. Exactly. That's why you need him now. He has to come. Exactly.
He's not coming on now, but I pinned him down and made him look like an ass.
Exactly. But they don't. Because they don't know what, they don't have the information.
No. Here's what it is. He goes to friendly places that are vetted, right? And then he sits down, and I know he does his podcast, but he goes to places that are friendly, and then they do friendly. Hunter Biden is sitting there talking to that idiot about his dad being on Ambien and circling the globe 3 times, and the guy could have went, he was Camp David for a week napping. What are you talking about Ambien? But they never do that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think we have the Martha Raddatz. I think it was fair to say that the hair of a 26-year-old in the face of a 73-year-old. That's not even an insult. I'd say that's accurate.
Los Angeles is a city of immigrants. 3.8 million people, and about 50% of our population
All right, hold on. You
is
can
Latino.
pause it. First off, they just say talking points. It's a city of immigrants and a faith and a family. Okay, it's a city of immigrants. We're not talking about immigrants. We're talking about illegal immigrants. People that are here illegally. But anyway, she's explained that's who we are. And by the way, that's who we are because we didn't enforce the border and we made it a sanctuary state. So yes, Los Angeles is a city of immigrants and it's a city of homelessness because we made it easy for both of them to come here. Now, we're also leading in homelessness. So would you like to tack that on, or is that good? Is that bad? All right, sorry.
And so when the raid started, fear spread. Fear spread like
because
a virus
of her.
around the entire county.
Is there anything good you think the administration has done in these 6 months at the border?
Well, I will heap praise on the administration for the first 6 months in Los Angeles with the fires. If you ask me, is there anything that they have done good in terms of immigration? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that the viewpoint has been punitive, has been let's make it as miserable as possible so that these people don't come.
Yeah. Well, that helps. I mean, that's something. He closed the border, you bitch. The number one thing you can do for illegal immigration is close the border.
But it's an incredible thing, by the way. I don't think it's appreciated enough. Well, I guess because it's been such an amazing kind of pace of stuff that you're getting out of the administration, but just the sheer demonstration of governing competence, just to make that happen so quickly by will and
closing the border?
Yeah, it's incredible. And actually, you have the Democrats constantly. It's a weird thing I've always thought, which is that they're always saying how much they love government and then prove how disastrous it is and how useless it actually is and how we're right to really be suspicious of it. And here you have the Republican guy, and the Republicans are usually the ones saying government's terrible, we need less of it, really proving that government can be effective in the way that they close the border. I think I can't recall anywhere ever a more clear demonstration of governing competence than what he did with the border.
Well, he's a commercial builder, so he wants to hurry up. and he wants to go, and he wants his border, and he wants it closed, and he wants his border wall. Now, the process people want to take Kamala Harris, who has no expertise in borders at all, best I could tell. They want to take Kamala Harris, who she's as qualified to take care of the borders Hunter Biden is to be on the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company. So they take a person with no background in it, and then they say to that person, you're in charge of that border, and that person never goes to the border, but instead, she's a process person, so she's going to go to the Triangle,
and they set
Latin
up a task force,
and they want to talk at systemic motivators for people coming here. Okay, meanwhile, the border is open, and you want to talk about systemic reasons and motivators, and that's a process person.
No, but this is it really is central. I've seen it, by the way, because, people may not know. They know me from the TV and whatever, but the last job I did, and I've worked in business. I started companies back in the UK here as well. I started restaurants. I've tech company here. So I've got that business mindset. But the last thing I did before moving here, we moved in 2012. I was senior advisor in the UK government to the Prime Minister. I was in these meetings and where you're trying to make stuff happen. And it is entirely about having someone there. And I didn't always see this in a good way. I'm not saying, and I wasn't the guy in charge, I was an advisor, but you've got to be in the meeting with whoever it is and just not accept the bullshit process answer and say, yeah, I hear that. But what's happening tomorrow? What's happening the next day? Who's the person who's there making this happen in the real world? You've got to, it's all about asking those questions. And just like you with Newsom, when you press and press and press, if there's nothing there, it is exposed. But so many of these politicians just accept it. They sit there and the bureaucrats come in with all their kind of plans and we're going to have a meeting and a task force and recommendations and blah, blah, blah. And 6 months have gone by, nothing happens.
Yeah, I tweeted out.
It is central. What you're saying is literally, it really is, and I've seen it from inside of a government.
Well, everything that we experience that's sort of tangible and physical and has an outcome starts off as a sort of thought and an emotion. And I'm telling you, this is a process person, Karen Bass. And I know it because my mom was this way. She wanted to talk about stuff, and lots of proclamations. Like, these kids don't have a warm bed. Exactly. It's like, but you never do anything and you have no plan. I'll play you the famous Newsom clip for 2 minutes.
Let's do it.
Just because I enjoy it.
Money put away.
But think about it.
Don't have the kids.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families have no access to a checking account.
All right, pause it there. Considering the amount of Latino people in California,
that's hard. It's the largest group in California, 40%.
Right. So 40% of millions of people, half of that group. So you're saying that half of the majority don't have access. So the bank doesn't want their, exactly. They don't want their business?
That's what they say, access.
Okay.
It's such a slip.
So he's already lying. He started lying. Yes.
Term. Things we take for granted. They don't have a check.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Well, why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't.
Why do Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in check cashing places.
But I want to know why those groups. Why those two groups don't have access?
Well, a lot of. Just happens to be that.
All right, it just happens to be. Okay, so by the way, if it just happens to be.
But what do you think is going through his head? He's obviously worried. He's doing that. He's thinking, well, I don't want to be racist. I don't want to say that. I don't want to be.
The first five are I can't say anything racist.
And then it's I don't want to criticize the banks because I want their money or as donations or what's going. It's why just this bullshit answer.
Okay. The first thing that's running through his head is I go everywhere in California, I spout out bullshit, and I do whatever I want, and no one ever settles my hash or corrects me or circles back. So I don't know what's going on here.
Yes, exactly.
I just did one of my
this.
thing. I just did my talking point. My talking point is half of African American and half Latinos in the state of California don't have access to checking account. Now you say, oh my God, we need to fix this. And then I say, I have a plan. When I'm governor, I'm going to fix this. That's how our exchange works, not what's wrong with them. That's not something he'd ever thought about. He goes to friendly places for people who call themselves journalists, and then he just runs over them with pablum. So now he's got me. So now I want to know what's going on. And he's getting into Babel land because he's saying it just happens to be that way. Which is like me saying, it's like him saying, well, squirrels live in trees and crows fly. And I go, why? And he goes, just happens to be that way. Well, there's nothing we can do about it, right? That's where squirrels live. That's where crows do. But all right, here we go.
Flawed? No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
Their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay,
not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
But that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
why'd you bring up black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be the
magnitude. It just happens.
By the way,
to be.
I have seen this more than once. It is such a joy.
It's the greatest clip ever.
Wonderful.
Oh, I want to play it at my funeral.
Really wonderful.
It just happens to be. Okay, that doesn't sound like a person that's got a plan to fix a problem, do they?
Amazing.
He wanted to talk about the problem so we could think he was a hero.
Those are the words that come out of his mouth.
It just happens to be. Okay, it just is.
So there's nothing you can do about it. It's nature.
If it's nature. All right, continue.
At all.
Well, what happened to that?
There are a lot of issues, and that the communities are struggling. A lot of new immigrants.
Struggling?
A lot of different reasons. Lack of opportunity.
Have been here. Blacks have been here longer than we've been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What about Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah, in fact, it all initiated out of San Francisco. And the Chinese Exclusion Act came out of progressive San Francisco.
Are they the Czech
a lot of Asians certainly do.
So why don't you conclude them?
The only reason why is the magnitude of
there's
the problem.
So many more.
The magnitude in percentage
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about it. You know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure, why would you?
No, here's why.
Why would you want to do that? Because the person from the Times wouldn't write good things about you if you did that.
No, that's not the case, because I want to deal with reality.
No, hold on, pause. He wants to deal with reality. I've given him 17 chances to deal with reality. Does this sound like a guy who wants to deal with reality? By the way, let's just say I'm a mechanic, and you bring your car in, Steve Hilton, and I go, all right, $5,000 to fix the transmission, and then I gave it back to you, and the transmission didn't work, and you went, what happened here? And I went, it just is. It just is.
And then you start giving a history lesson about the history of cars. That's the thing. He's like trying to fill the time.
I want to deal with reality, Steve. I need that $5,000, and your transmission doesn't work because it just is.
It's amazing.
This just brilliant. Is. All right. Well, we'll play on.
To deal with reality.
I want to deal with the reality of people that are struggling. People are suffering. I want to deal with the problems in a pragmatic way. Why are they
struggling and suffering?
I don't want an idea. We can hold hands and surmise about all these underlying reasons.
I don't want to do that. I want to know why they're struggling. Why are they struggling?
A lot of folks are struggling because they can't find jobs.
Why blacks and
because
Hispanics?
They're working.
Why blacks and Hispanics?
Across the board, all socioeconomic.
Okay, so everybody.
Everybody's struggling.
So Asians are suffering just as much as blacks.
The face of welfare is not an African American family.
So it's Asian, Jewish, it's all of them.
Caucasian. It's
okay,
a lot of
so
folks
we're all
in society.
struggling.
A lot of folks are struggling.
Okay.
For more of that.
Unbelievably brilliant.
Now take that mind and put it toward filling aqueducts or lowering gas prices.
That's right.
He can't think, people. He cannot think. Even in real time, he can't think.
It's the blah, blah, blah. This is what they're all like. They really, really
are.
They're
process
and
people.
This is why nothing happens. That's why you are 100% right that this is the heart of it.
The heart of it is process people getting into positions of power and wanting to do the process. Yes. And the process does not involve building stuff or fixing aqueducts. It involves talking and having meetings.
And that's what, they all go on and on about, and I agree that housing, right? The fact that it's impossible, the idea for a young person in California to imagine owning a home, raising a family, just the regular stuff that used to be the California dream, out of, they can't even imagine. They laugh when you talk about it. I'm on the road the whole time, and you talk about it. It's just impossible to imagine. So we agree there's a massive problem. We're not building anything. They've published in the last 5 years or so, they've not just published, passed in the legislature over 100 pieces of legislation on housing. Like all of it made practically no difference to anything because this is what they do. And they're just experts at it. And then they look at the results and think, oh, yeah, what we really need is more of that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, the process leads to more process. And then also, you need to surround yourself. There's an issue. It's another feminine quality. Women will say stuff, and then they'll get all the other women to agree with them, and no one ever goes, hey, you're fat because you eat too much. Don't start talking about your thyroid. I saw you eating a hoagie the other day and washing it down with grape soda. That person will be thrown out of the group.
Yeah.
So Dr. Drew offered to volunteer for the LA City Council 10 years ago about helping out with the homeless situation since addiction was the biggest problem with them. And they don't have anybody. There's nobody out of those yentas that have any experience in addiction medicine. And we have a guy who's got 30 years experience in addiction medicine, and addiction is what drives homelessness. So he says, I'll volunteer. So you have to let's really break this down in terms of the process and the people and the process people. You who do things are a threat to them and their process, and they have a cabal of process. So let's just break it down. Homelessness is number one in Los Angeles. Addiction is the number one driver of homelessness.
Over 80% of the homeless have addiction.
Are driven by addiction. You have a group of people, dumb process yentas, who are tasked with fixing the homeless problem. It gets worse every year. So somebody who has an expertise in addiction, which is driving the problem, says, I will volunteer to work with you for free to try to solve this problem. And they all turn on this person who attempted to work for free, and they vote him out, and he never gets their help. Now, what is that? That's process circling the wagons.
Yes.
Because we don't need some expert guy in here telling us a bunch of shit we should have done and could do.
And also, we don't want to. There's another layer to it. We actually deep down don't want to solve the problem because that's the end of our process.
Right.
And then we can no longer sit around having process conversations forever.
Right.
If the problem's actually solved.
No. Well, we're in charge of fixing racism, and now there's something called systemic racism. And you go, what is that? And I go, it's systemic racism. And you go, well, what legislation? What you mean you can't use the diner? You can't go in the back door?
What did Gavin say? It just is.
It just is. Yeah. It's just everywhere. And then you go, all right, well, you got to show me some policy that's racist. You know, black folk got to sit in the back of the train or something like that. Oh, no, we don't have any of that. We have systemic racism. Oh, so it's everywhere and it's invisible.
Also, the other thing is you've got to add on to it here in California. You've got the ideology, because on top of that, they have these really bad ideological ideas. So, for example, on the addiction point, there's actually, I'm sure you talked about it, Dr. Drew, there's a law they passed in 2016 called Housing First, which makes it illegal for any organization that gets state money to deal with homelessness. It's illegal to require sobriety or addiction treatment or anything as a condition of the service.
Right.
It's illegal.
Listen, Gavin Newsom sat where you're sitting, and I brought up homelessness, and that was 12 or 13 years ago. And I told him the problem is drugs, it's addiction, and it's mental disease. It's mental and it's drugs. And that's what's driving homelessness 13 years ago. And he explained to me that that's not the real picture of homelessness. The real picture is a divorced mother of two who has a full-time job and is getting paid minimum wage.
I mean, they just have, look, okay, fine. We can talk about the people who don't like going back to Katie Porter. Yeah, it's very expensive. Okay, deal with all those things that make it a struggle. Everywhere I go on the road, the number one word I kind of that captures what I'm experiencing when people come to our events and talk to me and ask me questions is struggle. It is such a struggle to live in California. So that's all true. But with homelessness, it's incredibly clear that it's anyone who's actually worked with people in that situation. It's exactly as you say, it's addiction. And that's why actually my plan on it would be just to go straight for that at the state level. You ignore that, you've just got to, the counties are not dealing with it, the cities are not dealing with it. It's actually Schellenberger first talked about this. You just have Michael Schellenberger, and he's right, which is that you basically have, he actually called it CalPsych. You just basically have a state agency that just deals with the problem, and you get people off the streets and into treatment, whether that's mental health treatment or addiction treatment, and you just get it done.
Yeah, well, they don't like guys like that. Process people don't like people showing up and yelling, what the fuck is going on around here, and what have you guys been doing for the last 10 years?
Like even in San Francisco, so the second day of my campaign, I go to San Francisco, and there you've got the new mayor, and you've got a new DA, and it's all like, we're cleaning it up. Okay, good. So I went to this. I was on the Mission with Tom Wolfe, who's become very well known. He's an ex-addict, recovered, real, chronicles what's going on. I'm out there with him. We're walking the streets, and he said, "This is pretty cleaned up. If you'd have come here 3 weeks ago, it would be very different." And I said, "Okay, so what's going on now?" I said, "Well, yeah, but you come here tonight." I said, "What's actually happening?" So, well, the cops come in now. They do move people on. Where do they go? They go to a triage center. What happens? They get kind of processed. And I said, then what happens? Well, at 6 p.m., they're released. So I said, you come back here tonight, it's exactly the same as it was.
Right.
And they think they're dealing with it because it's superficially they're moving people on, but they're not actually addressing the point, which is addiction. They're not getting them into treatment. It's unbelievable.
The fact,
but this is so long. This has been going on. That's what's so frustrating.
Find that clip. That clip is 13 years old.
It's amazing.
I just told him what the problem was, and also everyone, listen to me. Your horse sense, your spidey sense. You don't need to be clairvoyant. How is California the only state being gouged by big oil? Doesn't make sense. Why would Putin want to deal with a guy like Trump over a pushover sack like Hillary Clinton, a status quo person like Hillary? Why would they? If you've driven LA and you've driven San Francisco and you've been and you've seen the homeless people and you've never seen a mother of two wearing an Arby's outfit, if you've never seen a sober mother of two who had a full-time job living on the street, then it doesn't exist. If all you see is junkies slumped over, that's who the homeless people are. That's the part that I don't get. You know who the...
Of course.
We're all experts in homelessness. Just drive through the city, look around, see who's flopped out on the ground. Now you're an expert. That's how this works.
This is the contrast. This is what's so infuriating about the fact that we've had this for so long. And that could go back to the border, right? Look, the scale of that, right? Many, many more people than what we're dealing with in terms of homelessness. The scenes we saw, 1 minute it was Eagle Pass, the next minute down here, Bill Melugin reporting on it on Fox. You saw all across the border, just huge numbers of people. And now it's dealt with. And it's like it's gone.
Oh, listen, they'll do it with a park out here once in a blue moon. Or maybe a Chinese diplomat will come in and they'll go, all right, clean it all up. Takes 3 days. They clean it all up. They get their shit together.
That was the most egregious and unbelievable. Did you see that with it was on when Gavin was on Sean Ryan, and he asked him about the cleaning up San Francisco for Xi Jinping?
Yeah.
Did you see? And he said, "Oh, that's bullshit." And then we all have the clip, that weird press conference where Gavin said, "Some people are saying that we only cleaned it up because of its indignity." That's true because it's true.
I know how much.
I'm really curious. What is going on there? Does he not remember that he said it? Did he think it at the time? What's this about?
I'm convinced that he's a sociopath, and he's trained himself to use certain words and dialogue and stuff like that sort of works. And part of it's an aesthetic. We tend to go, I'm telling you, the reason Hollywood listens to George Clooney is they go, look at that guy. He knows what he's talking about. Look at him. That's how we do it. No one does that with Danny DeVito. I'm sure Danny DeVito's a lot fucking smarter than George Clooney. I'm sure of it. But he doesn't look like he knows what he's talking about. I'll play the clip. It's 39 seconds. I told him this is what it is.
This notion of like the guy's a hardworking, God-fearing family member who lost his job and now had to take to the streets is total and utter bullshit.
But what about the picture of real homelessness, which is a poor mom with 2 kids with a husband who took off and left her, who's sitting there struggling on that minimum wage job, and all of a sudden now is out in the streets and sidewalks desperately trying to find some help, get her life back, can't get those kids into child care.
I think that's what happened to
can't
Jewel.
afford them. That's the tough thing.
Yeah, that's
and
tough.
That's a picture of family homelessness in this country.
That's a postage stamp.
No,
the real picture is bigger than the AIDS quilt, and those are crazy junkies.
Yeah, but no. So what? No, see, I will challenge you on that.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, but no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but no. But no. But what about the real face of homelessness that no one has ever experienced or seen?
It's incredible.
She's wandering around with her kids, just trying to get a hand up, step up, just looking for. There's millions of services for her. First off, there's 1 million sofas for her and 1 million. Sisters' homes or best friends' homes. That person never ends up on the street. They couch surf. They live in guest houses. They live in garages on air mattresses that were converted. That person. And if they want services, they can get services. What he just said was complete and utter nonsense. And the thing that makes him a sociopath is he doesn't know what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. He's just trying to get through. I just don't know what they... To me, it's so humiliating to have been in that position for like nearly, 7 years now, and everything's a disaster. And you have to go through your life pretending, and now there's not even time to fix it. You can't say, okay, well, the first couple of years I was trying to find my feet, I didn't know how the system worked, but now I'm on it, right? And now I'm really... No, nothing is changing. I just wonder I suppose you have to tell yourself that it's...
But see, I say that all the time when I go, okay, I just drove from Sun Valley, 8 miles that way, 6 miles that way to Glendale. And along the ride, all I passed was graffiti and garbage and kids' toys spread out all over by the side of the freeway. And it looked like a junk farm.
Yes.
And then I say, who is the district selectman or the congressman or the whomever, the mayor of Sun Valley? And do they have a car? And do they get in their car and they just drive through their Damnation Alley shit show every day and they just whistle and smile or listen to oldies or something? Like, I would go insane. If I was in charge of Glendale or wherever and I got my car and I hit a pothole, I'd go, what the fuck? Who's screwing this pothole? Who's going to fix this pothole? And then I'd stop and I'd get on the phone.
So I was just thinking the other day, I was in when the ICE stuff was going on, I was in downtown LA a lot. And I've been back since, Kohl's shut down that place and we went there.
Kohl's the retailer.
Was it Kohl's, the place that they say they invented the French dip, the sandwich, the restaurant?
Oh, Felipe's.
No, the other one. There's 2 that claim it.
Well,
so I've been down.
Oh, I thought Kohl's sold women's.
Yeah, different, COLE. But the thing is that, anyway, so I've been downtown LA more than usual.
Right.
Lately.
Uh-huh.
And it's not at all, always to cover something or make a point or do a press conference or something. But the thing that I leave with overwhelmingly is the stink. It's everywhere you go in downtown LA stinks of piss and shit. It just does everywhere you go. And I was thinking, what I really, as governor, I actually want literally a smell test. Right? We cannot accept this in America's second city, California's #1 city, that it stinks like this. It's just unacceptable. And I'm going to get it sorted out. And I'm going to go there and literally just walk the streets and smell. Yeah. And that's the test of whether you've done it or not to set up some strategy and a task force and convene whatever. You just go, okay, does it still stink of piss and shit? Yes or no?
I'm with you. Did you hit a pothole when you're driving on the freeway? You're looking at graffiti and garbage, and if so, let's fix it. And there's Kohl's, the French dip. So I only knew about Felipe's. I didn't know Kohl's.
Yeah, so they claimed it. They both claim it.
Since 1908.
I went. It's a lovely place. I made a whole point about it because I used to run restaurants, and I love restaurants. I love bars, nightlife. I love all that. All these local independent places just crushed by all the nonsense, the regulations, the permits, the fees, the taxes. We can't do it. Around there, of course, in downtown, the stink, the homeless, the crime.
Yes.
And they just can't make it work. And all of this, and these Democrats are just busy. I don't know what they're doing, but what's Karen Bass doing about that? Nothing.
No.
She doesn't care about that.
She's going to fight ICE. That's what she's going to do. All right, speaking of food.
Here we go.
Before we wrap this up. Chicken paprikash. Because you and I were discussing this off the air. I can't remember if we were talking about it all on the air. Now, I got a good recipe
we need to do the context. My parents are Hungarian.
Mm-hmm.
My stepfather's Hungarian. My whole family's Hungarian.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them still back in Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how I was raised, eating Hungarian food. And then when I went to college, I asked my mum to teach me how to make it so that I would continue to be able to eat it.
Yes. Now, stop me if I get any of this wrong.
All right.
Everybody has their own regional comforty, mom used to make it this way.
Uh-huh.
Some of that is just a memory.
Yes.
Like when you had some girl in junior high you had a mad crush on, and you swore she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and then you run into her at the reunion, and you're like, not as good as I remember. See? Now, Hungarian food is weird in that nobody knows it, and it's not available. There is... in L.A., 1,000 Indian restaurants and 1,000 Thai restaurants. Yeah, well, when you're governor, we're going to change all this.
100%. I think I'd make that the number one pledge.
Let me give me a title. Goulash czar.
Yes,
I'll be in charge of the goulash.
I love it.
I'm going to be traffic czar and goulash czar.
Yes,
and
I'm very comfortable making that pledge.
And I don't like government overreach. But we have enough sushi places, and we have enough Thai places, and enough Indian places.
We believe in diversity. We need
want
more diversity.
That's the part of the goulash czar's acceptance speech. And you're not going to be able to open another kebab place in Glendale without 3 Hungarian places opening. That's my decree.
That's very good. It's like Trump with the regulations.
Right.
1 in, 3 out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So people think, well, all right, Steve and Adam, you guys grew up eating chicken paprikash. Not my mom. She's a processed person. She will talk about chicken paprikash. She doesn't actually chicken paprikash. The reason my mom loved chicken paprikash but didn't make chicken paprikash is you'd have to go to the store and buy all the ingredients, and then you have to chop everything up, and you'd have to simmer it. It's work. She's processed, not work.
Okay.
My grandfather, Laszlo Gorog.
Of course.
He was not a processed person. He was make some goulash and make some chicken
Very solid
paprikash.
Hungarian name.
Laszlo.
Yeah, my son's middle name. Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, he had a brother named Bela and a sister named Buji.
Okay.
That's Hungarian. So, and his nephew was named Gabi. So, he made it. And what everyone says is they go, well, okay, you like that weird food because you got it when you were a kid. I'm like, no. I've tested this. I force people to eat this. I say, I run into all kinds of people from all different places. Iraq, I got a maid that's from, where is Olga from? From one of the places Kamala was looking at. And Guatemala, whatever. I make them all. And then no one has ever had it. They eat Italian, they eat Thai food, they eat everything. And I go, I'm doing chicken paprikash, and I'm doing no kettle the dumplings with it.
Yes.
And including my kids, who are fairly picky and they're not picky, but they're not exotic eaters or whatever. I make it, they go nuts. They can't stop. They cannot stop. And there's not a human being that I've exposed this to that didn't go, this is the best. So trust me.
Okay.
Well, you already do.
Well, let's do the rest. Let's have a look.
All right. It's a tablespoon of olive oil. It's 2 medium-large onions, thinly sliced. 3 garlic. 2. Medium. 2 large.
Yeah.
Onion, thinly sliced. I don't know if I might dice it up. I might chop it up.
I chop it.
You
don't want onion.
You don't want
to
stringy.
see it.
You don't want to see it. You want it to melt.
Yes.
See? We're old school, you and I. 3 garlic cloves minced, 2.5 teaspoons of Hungarian-style sweet paprika, not paprika. 1 tablespoon of kosher salt or to taste. 3 tablespoons of flour. 114-ounce can of reduced sodium chicken broth. Mm-hmm. 3/4 cup sour cream, not light, chopped parsley, cooked egg noodles. No, do not do the cooked egg noodles.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't agree. So I've never put flour.
You don't need to put flour. No, that's true. You could thicken it up a little bit. No, don't do flour. Cooked egg noodles. You need the no kettle.
Yeah,
to do it. I don't know where the chicken. You brown the chicken.
I'm worried. The onion is there's too much onion because it. Well, it depends how many chicken, because you've got it has it releases water and it can make it a little thin and watery. If you have too much onion. Mm-hmm. I worry about that.
Well, I'm looking at it now. What was I looking at? I was looking at onion. Okay. It's available online. Stay away from the tomato paste.
Yes. No, it's totally wrong.
What?
Totally wrong.
Me?
No. You're correct.
Oh,
no way.
I'm the goulash czar.
Yeah, of course.
I thought you were talking to me.
No. You've been vetted. This is good. But no, 100%. That is the rule. No tomato. That's
Americanized.
That's not right at all.
First off, I had a guy backstage. Felt bad. He goes, "I made you goulash." I go, "Oh, you made goulash?" He goes, "American goulash." It was spaghetti sauce with ground beef. And I said, "That's not goulash." And he said, "It's American goulash, bro." And it had elbow macaroni in it. I was like, "Those are SpaghettiOs." And he goes, "It's American goulash." I go, "Okay, first off, you can't just put the word American in front of something and then make your own thing. It's got to be goulash." Yeah, so keep the tomatoes away from it. That's
very
a
much
good point.
Well, I would yes, except maybe you could add a little bit if you're making the soup version, but paprikash definitely not. No way.
And you brown your chicken up, then you put it in and simmer it and all that. But I'm just telling you, go online, find an old school chicken paprikash recipe, no tomatoes, and no egg noodles. Do the no kettle.
Exactly.
And look up no kettle-y too, and do that
Other
as well.
We call it galushka.
Galushka.
Yeah.
The no kettle-y.
Yeah. I mean, either term is right,
See, my grandfather always called it no kettle.
Right.
And I remember I drove all over looking for a Hungarian place in the city once, and some of my sister said, "There's one off of Vine in Hollywood." And I walked in, some chick with a pierced nose was standing there, and I kind of knew wasn't Hungarian, but I said, "You guys do chicken paprikash?" And he was like, "Oh, maybe we do goulash or something." I said, "Do you have no kettle noodles, no kettle dumplings?" And she went, "Huh?" I went, "No kettle dumplings?" She goes, "No." I go, "Well, you're Hungarian. You don't have no kettle?" She goes, "No. We have no kettle-y." I go, "Okay, well, you can then say it. Then say that. Would you please, after 13 tries, bitch?"
So is that place still there?
I don't think so.
I found it. Someone showed me. They took me to a place in Orange County in Garden Grove, and it's the most hilarious thing. You're sort of driving for miles to Vietnamese everything, and then you go around a corner and there's this little Hungarian cafe. It's not really a restaurant, so it's like a deli. But they have Hungarian salami. You can buy all the stuff there.
Well, that's the whole point. There's some version of it that's also German or whatever. When I'm goulash czar,
we're going to be
put an end to that. All right, Steve Hilton, thanks for stopping by. Go to the website, stevehiltonshow.com.
stevehiltonforgovernor.com.
I was going to say, it says stevehiltonshow.com. That doesn't seem right. stevehiltonforgovernor.com.
You got it.
We'll take a break. We'll get Elisha Krauss in here, and we'll do news right after this. Shopify, starting a business can be intimidating. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. from household names like Mattel and Gymshark. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond at Shopify. Right, Dawson?
Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Carolla, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Carolla to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Carolla.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
The Adam Carolla Show remembers.
I close my eye forever. We all remain the same.
Thank you, Ozzy. Both of you. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Oh, I get it. That was Osvaldo Castillo, and the great good friend of mine passed a couple of years ago. Funny guy. Put him in a movie.
You put him in a movie?
I did.
That's nice.
Yeah, it worked. It worked out. Everyone liked him. He stole the show. And he was super funny. He's a super likable guy. He liked to eat and cook flap steak, and he was a construction worker, but he didn't. That wasn't his thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was his thing. It was supposed to be. He'd go on like a materials run and be gone for like 4 hours. Like you can kind of. Here's the thing about construction and carpentry and all the manual labor stuff. There's people here, and I've employed many of them, who don't really like working that much. But I can't prove it because everything they do is on a computer. And they know I don't know anything about computers. So then I walk in, and it doesn't look like they're working to me, but they go, I'm just working on some thumbnails.
Dawson's like super duper busy over here.
Well, Dawson's got to push buttons, and he's there. I can see him. But what I'm saying is here's what I'm saying. In the world of construction, when someone is lazy, you pick them out in the first 10 minutes. You can't hide. It's either you're on your feet and you're fucking working. And by the way, the real way to do it, if anyone wants to know, do not show up first thing in the morning and get your crew running and then leave or go do another job site or something. Show up random times, just randomly. And all the lazy people, you just show up and you go, where's Gary? And they go, oh, he's taking a break. You know, he's in the bathroom. You know, he's whatever. Then just show up 2 days later at a different time. You go, where's Gary? Oh, Gary said he had to go to the Home Depot to get a screw. You know, and then you go show up a week later at a different time. You go, where's Gary? Oh, he's in the bathroom. And you go, okay, he don't like to work. Because the other guys who work, you show up randomly, they're working every time. Like you can tell me, I'll tell you in advance who's going to be working when I show up randomly and who's going to be eating lunch or who's going to be in the bathroom. There's also the in the bathroom people. So the thing about Ozzy, anytime he showed up, you go, where's Ozzy? He went to the drywall emporium, you know, and then you go, when was that? That was like 3 hours ago. And you go, where is he? And you go, he's getting drywall. But he was always sometimes sitting, sometimes eating.
Yeah.
Now, what they would say is, oh, you walked in right when I was just taking my break here, whatever.
Yeah. Just so happened.
Except for every random time I walk in, you're just on a break. So
and you still put him on a movie? Because it doesn't take good work ethic to be in a movie, I suppose.
Well, I knew there's only one guy who could play his role.
Yeah, he was made for that part.
He was made. Yeah. Well, to be fair to him, I wrote the part for him, which made him into that part. So he was. The movie was called The Hammer. You guys can watch it. It was a tribute to Ozzy, but that's what it was. But we can tell the people who don't like working in the blue. If you own a farm, you know who doesn't like working immediately. If you own a place that does coding, I have no idea. And then you enter the phone, and now everyone's just staring at their phone, and I don't know if they're working or they're just checking.
I think what's hard too
scores.
I think one of the first times I was on here talking about the news, there was that study that said how much people like fake working at work. It was like something like 12% of people will see their boss coming and pretend to be on the phone, like pretend to be on a work call.
There's also an emotional component, which is we don't treat work like we used to treat work. Like, no. I had a guy sitting there, a young guy right here. It's always I don't know, you have those stories that just stick with you. Yeah. He's a young guy, dumb guy. He's sitting right in this front office. And I literally had my suitcase, and Mike August had his bags, and it was a lot of like, for me, there's a lot of Friday at 11 in the morning. Mike's coming here. We're getting in the car. We're going to Burbank. We got to do shows in Portland tonight. And I'm like standing there holding my suitcase. It's like 11 in the morning. He's just sitting in a chair in this office, and he looks like I don't know, it doesn't look like he's doing much, but I'm walking out the door.
Yeah.
The car's running. It's backed up. Mike's in the driver's seat. I got to throw my bag in the car, and we're leaving. But I just looked at him, and I said, "What are you doing, Gabe?" And he goes, "Playing a video game." And I go, You could have just, I'm leaving. So I'm leaving so you could just hold off on the video game until you see my taillights.
Yeah.
And then you pick up the video game.
Did you appreciate his honesty, though?
A lot of people say that. They go, "Well, don't you like that I'm being honest?" I go, not really. Not really. But that led to my greatest over here is there's 3 guys in this office. And I said, "Why are you playing a video game in the middle of the day?" And he said, "The internet's down." I said, "Oh, okay, the internet's down?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Okay, clean your office." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Clean your office." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I told the 3 of these guys to clean their office. If the internet's down, you got a small office, it's a mess, just clean it while the internet's down, or instead of playing video games." I told them to clean their office a few times. Eventually, I came in on Saturday and I cleaned their office, and then 2 of the guys quit.
They were mad that you cleaned the office?
They were more humiliated that I eventually cleaned their office myself on a Saturday. They were shamed because I physically cleaned their office after multiple attempts to get them to clean their own office. I came and cleaned it.
You're forgetting
Yeah.
that one key point where one of them said that he cleaned his half of the office.
No.
It's like a roommate situation.
No, Dawson. You're first off, Dawson, you're being way too charitable.
Okay.
He didn't clean his half of the office. He said, "Why should I clean the office when I share it with 2 people?" And then he never cleaned it.
Okay.
I said, "Why should I?" The office is 7 foot wide and 11 foot long. He said, "Why should I do it when their stuff's in here too?" And then I said, "What would you like me to get out tape measure and just break it into a third? And then you could just clean that 1/3. I'll put some tape down on the floor." And then he got angry.
And then he quit because you shamed him.
Well, eventually they quit because I shamed them because it only happened and that I was looking for a cord for a radar detector, and there's cords everywhere. And I was like, "Is my radar detector cord up in here? It's a special cord." And the answer was, "Well, we don't know because there's just junk everywhere." Yeah. And I said, "Well, why don't we clean it and sort it out? And I could get my radar detector cord." And they said, "It's not in here." And then I eventually cleaned the office and found the cord.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, a real victory. A real victory.
The cords are a whole thing, man.
Cords are a thing, babe.
Like all of the different, it's aside from, it's like the headphones and the AirPods and the...
Big cord knows what they're doing because nothing fits anything else.
Yes.
I literally... It's the radar detector cord I had to send away to get this cord, even though one side is just like a phone jack and the other's like a cigarette lighter, but you can't, they don't share anything with anything. So that was the story of today's Lazy Man.
Well, Lazy Man was definitely funnier than Stephen Colbert. He's still in the news this week.
What's he doing now?
Well, the ladies at The View are super duper sad. And, you know, I'm sure they can tell us their favorite episodes of The Late Show. But they are on the "This is Trump suppressing free speech" bandwagon that some people on social media. And we have a clip of the show.
It could be financial. And I don't know that it's purely political. It could be. But my concern is if it is political, then everyone should be concerned. People on the right should be concerned. People on the left should be concerned, because it's very clear that if it is political, this is the dismantling of our democracy. This is the dismantling of our Constitution, right? And so the First
Hold on
Amendment
a second. The View uses the same jackass premature clapper audience warm-up guy that Bill Maher does too. He's got a guy that hits it like two beats too early, and that's there's retarded Bill Maher clips where the guest says something stupid, and you'll hear go back 10 seconds. You'll hear
too soon.
One clap, and then the whole audience erupts into clap. And Bill Maher has a guy who has premature eclapulation. Well, that's it. I'm done.
Concerned. People on the right should be concerned. People on the left should be concerned, because it's very clear that if it is political, this is the dismantling of our democracy. This is the dismantling of our Constitution.
See, you'll hear the same on Bill Maher when blowhard politician Amy Klobuchar gets up there and goes, I don't believe any child should go to bed hungry. And then you'll just hear them all the fucking SEALs. There's one asshole with the premature ejaculation, and then the SEALs, the Dumbo SEALs, who just start flapping. That's how it works.
Does Sunny Hawk, is it like her shtick to, and I feel like sometimes people do this too, where the slower they talk, the smarter they think they sound?
There's two modalities when you're kind of dumb, but you pontificate and lecture and sort of tell people what's going on and how to live and stuff, but you're actually not bright. Mm-hmm. There's slow talk, mm-hmm. and then there's extra talk.
Oh, like the Newsom style.
Yeah, Newsom does it.
It's like all the rambling on filler words.
Well, I always say that's what cops do. They go, okay, what I'm going to go ahead and ask you to do for me right now is go ahead and step out of the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to produce your license and registration for me, okay, right now? It's like, okay, just say license or registration. You don't need for you.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to. Why are we ramping up into you asking me a question? You know what I'm going to do about now? I'm just going to go ahead and ask you to do for me
the procedure. I feel like procedure is in there somewhere. Lawyers always use the word procedure.
Would you want to do for me? Just go ahead and turn around for me real quick right now. Like, I was at the airport and they said, could you go ahead, turn around for me real quick right now? And I'm like, just tell me to turn around. Just tell me to turn around. Dumb people have to talk. Yeah. They add words and or they do slow. Yes.
Another prime example of that lately, the extra talk, is when someone puts out a tweet that says, makes a statement and then says, period, full stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, period, full stop.
That just shows me you're a moron.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, she is a moron, though, and she's doing the tactic that everybody on the left does of where it is the end of democracy and everyone should care about the end of democracy.
Well,
a cancellation of a failed, bloated, overfunded, like under-advertised show. You know what I mean? Like
she also suffers from another disease, which is narcissism. So what they always do is they go, as a black woman, okay, shut up. And then secondly, she'll do, it could happen. First it's you, then they're coming for us. It's always you, it's always me, it's always us.
What are the ratings over at The View? Maybe they are a little bit afraid. Maybe they should get some conservative blood, or I don't know, maybe one person that voted for Donald Trump on that panel to represent the American audience.
Also, how long, whether you're Rachel Maddow or you're the ladies from The View, can you talk about Trump coming for you?
Yes.
Or coming anyone? You dissent against Trump and he'll turn the full weight of the government. Bitch, you've been talking shit about Trump. We're going on
for 10 years.
For 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's never done anything. So no, I don't think he's going to do this, but it's only based on his actions.
Yes.
Because none of what you say ever happens. And what you blame him of, accuse him of, never happens. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with it's not happening.
I actually think it. So one of the
and shows get canceled every day.
Yes.
So yes.
All the time shows get canceled because of COVID, because it was poor ratings, because the lead actor decides they don't want to do it anymore. I mean, the list goes on and on. But you're right. It's like they keep talking about, he's going to do these things. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. He's a mini Hitler. And like Jasmine Crockett, that's her thing. She likes to call him mini Hitler. And it's like, so please tell me in which ways is he actually like Hitler?
Also, mini doesn't work when you're 7 inches taller than Hitler and weigh 111 pounds more
than he did.
There's no mini Hitler. You dwarf Hitler.
Yeah. This is true. He is a very tall dude.
No, it never happens. I don't think. By the way, they don't think it's going to happen either.
No, they're just bloviating for the cameras and their own people.
Look, Gavin Newsom doesn't believe in COVID, or he doesn't go to the French Laundry. By the way, there's stuff. If you ever saw Gavin Newsom riding a motorcycle, he would be wearing a helmet because he does believe that.
Yes.
And I believe it too.
Yes. Or he puts a seatbelt on in the car.
But when he goes to SoFi Stadium to take a picture with Magic Johnson, he takes his mask down. Because he doesn't believe in that.
That was the best, man.
It's the best.
I'm looking something up on my phone because this next story is pretty important. Kevin Kiley tweeted, and you and Steve Hilton were talking about this earlier in the show, of the $100 million raised at the Celebrity FireAid concert, none actually went to LA fire victims. Instead, the money went to those nonprofits that you guys were talking about, many having nothing to do with actual fire relief. And Kevin Kiley, congressman from California, has asked the Attorney General Pam Bondi to open an investigation. Do you know that you're supposed to say like attorneys general? Oh, yeah.
It sounds weird. Yeah, I agree. Listen, I don't even like cummerbund. There's a lot of words that are just weird.
Just odd.
I don't get it. Yeah.
So Spencer Pratt, former star of The Hills, and his wife Heidi Pratt have been pretty. He's openly called for Mayor Karen Bass to resign. He said that Newsom is a scumbag, and he released this video on Instagram yesterday, talking about how he wants Newsom to be looked into.
Well, look at this. This looks like a letter to the Attorney General asking for an investigation into what Newsom and his wife did with the FireAid $100 million funds, because no victims of Palisades or Altadena have seen any of the money. So I look forward to seeing what the Department of Justice figures out here, because something is very suspicious, and I can't wait. As a C-list reality star who is a conspiracy theorist who spreads misinformation according to the governor's office of California, I like to see the real conspiracy here. And it's, good luck running for president when you're out here scamming fire victims, dear governor.
Yeah, I live in an area that would get money from that. And I would ostensibly could sign up for some relief or some whatever because of smoke damage and stuff like that. But you wouldn't do it. I would never assume I would get any. Just because they're throwing a concert getting $100 million. Nothing ever comes out the other end around here. Yeah. So you could say they're doing a concert. Yeah, they're raising $100 million. For who? For folks who live in Malibu and Palisades and Altadena who are affected by the fires. I go, well, that's me. I was displaced for 6 months. And then the place had like damage, smoke damage, fire, cleanup, stuff like that. I'd go, okay, but I'm never going to see a penny of that. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do that.
Well, I think then the biggest potential frustration for people like this reporter noted that Pasco is her name, Sue Pasco, over at Circling the News, it's just a blog, is that a lot of the charities, so the answer of the Annenberg Foundation, which has been around for a very long time and distributes money to local charities that do specific things, very left-leaning usually, by the way, they were saying, well, we were giving them to local charities that know best how to spread it. But those local charities have executives that are making six figures, and then they have people contacting them saying that they need assistance, and those people weren't getting assistance.
Yeah, it's just what we do here, sadly. It can go no other way. We don't allocate money correctly, and nothing ever, it comes in the front door, but it never gets out of the building, it seems. It never just gets distributed.
I think it kind of happens every time there's a tragedy, unfortunately, like the worst people come out.
Well, here's what we need to wrap our heads around. Okay, here's what I'm saying. Listen to me, everyone. We have two parties. We have a party on the right that talks about growth, that talks about business and pro-business and less regulation and more business and lower taxes and more incentives for growth and company and business. And then we have another group on the left who doesn't talk about that. They talk about people and kids and caring and sharing and helping and a seat at the table and treated with dignity, right? So then what we do is we kind of go, well, those guys, I mean, it's easy to see what Trump and Elon are about. They're about money. They're about business. And then we go, but those people, they care about the black and the brown people and the poor kids and the kids that don't have a meal. Oh, no, they're more into money than the other side. Yeah. They just glaze over it with a bunch of happy talk about dignity and a seat at the table. It turns out both you fuckers love a lot of money. And it turns out the left is weirdly and more greedily into money than even the right. But the right talks about capital gains being lowered and making a pro-business climate. And then the left goes, that's because you guys only care about money. Now, someone give me $1 billion and I'll pretend to help homeless people.
The other hypocrisy as well is like they talk about like the Trump dynasty and the Bush dynasty. I mean, if you look at the left, at least until RFK became a member of the MAGA Maha movement, but even still, there are so many dynasties of the left and the way that they handpick like their next anointed person to run for office. Yeah, That's why I think Hunter was so pissed off about his dad being thrown under the bus, is because the Bidens thought that they were the next chosen people and they had a right to choose the successor and not have it be Kamala.
Yeah, I know. But he took the Ambien and they pushed him out on stage all high on Ambien. And he was confused.
Which is negligible. Either somebody was trying to undermine him or it's an utter lie, which I think I believe the latter.
No, it's definitely a lie. Yeah.
Do you think that Gavin Newsom took about $50 million of funding of a FireAid grant?
I have no idea.
That was Spencer Pratt's speculation.
Well, Spencer Pratt, it's a little dubious sometimes. He got mad at me for my fire reporting. Too. I caught his ire as well. But I was really making a point and a joke, but he didn't
think it was very funny?
Well, I was standing on PCH, and PCH is a weird neighborhood in this part because, picture this, there are shit box apartment buildings from the 50s and the 60s that look like fried hell, man. Just bad 60s shit, flat roof, paint peeling on PCH. And then directly across the street is a place that's worth $85 million.
Yeah.
A home.
Hawaii is like this too.
Oh, yeah?
Like you can have a multi-million-dollar stunning home.
Yeah.
Next to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 5 generations living there, lots of Toyota Tacomas in the driveway.
Yeah, and I suppose neighborhoods get gentrified, and that's going to happen. But this is a little different in that the home is $80 million, and some guy lives 30 feet from your $80 million home, and he pays $1,400 a month and a small 1-bedroom with rent control.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at. I also think about it. Elisha Krauss, imagine being a young single woman.
Oh, that's been a long time, but I can go in the Wayback Machine, as Brian Whitman used to say.
Go in the Wayback Machine. And I say to you, look, I'm a young suitor.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, not really my type, but go on.
Why with the sidebar? You know, that's the hypothetical.
Okay.
What do you like?
Go on. I have to just humble you every once in a while.
All right. So now listen. I say to you, look, why don't you come over to my place? Because I'm going to make us a picnic and we can eat in the beach in Malibu.
Yeah.
Very romantic. And then I say to you, okay, this is old days, you know, probably even before navigation times, you know. I say to you, because you're young and single, you know, I say, I'm at 22035 PCH.
Oh, and I'm like, wow.
So come to my home.
Yeah.
But as you're driving down PCH, you see shitbox apartments on the left and then billion-dollar homes on the right, and you're like, 220, and you're gonna have a moment of reckoning here in a second. I'm either in that apartment, or I'm in that massive $40 million house right there, and it's all you know. That's a weird drive, right?
It is a weird drive.
When you start slowing, that move where you slow down and you look on each side for the address and you start creeping forward going,
and do I turn around at that
You
point?
might if I'm in one of those apartments. So I simply said in my vlog, which are available at adamcarolla.com, it's like a YouTube vlog, I saw the shitbox apartment I walked past all the time somehow completely unscathed by the fire.
Wow.
And the billion-dollar beautiful home, pristine home across the street on the ocean side of PCH demolished.
Mm-hmm.
Then I announced there is no God. And then he took offense to that because he was suggesting, I don't think he cared, but I was suggesting the shitbox should have burned and the other one didn't, or whatever it was. But basically what I was saying is...
Also, you don't really believe that there is no God.
Well...
But even if you did, it was still, you were making a joke.
I was making a
and
joke.
He didn't think it was funny.
If you had an old rusty shitbox car you drove and your neighbor had a Ferrari and it was right next to it and like a wheel busted off something and went flying and smashed one of the cars... If it smashed a Ferrari and left the shitbox right next to it, fine.
Yep.
You would say something.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I think we have this clip. Anyway, Spencer did not enjoy that. That was a pristine home, by the way.
What's funny is this place, $100 million home, triple lot, spectacular home, gone. 60s era pile of shit junk box saved. Tell me there's a God. Okay, we got it.
I mean, it was clearly a joke.
Well, my whole adult life, that's what I've been dealing with.
And I get, like, they lost their place. I think that clearly he's sensitive to some stuff. But I've actually found that people, so I actually have a handful of friends that are widows. And I found that, or friends that, got Purple Hearts and, were wounded in war and all that stuff. And like sometimes during tragedy, you have to crack jokes like that.
That's right.
Like you're processing it in real time. And part of human processing is to find the humor in things so we can move on.
My thing is during times of tragedy, I use humor.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes when I'm drunk, and then other times during the week. And then
when you
other
do
times
stand-up.
when I'm doing stand-up. I've found that it works for me.
Good for you.
Good for me.
Made some good money doing it, too.
All right, let's do one more. Do we have another one there?
Yes, and this one is pretty interesting. This guy has not made much money yet, but the Free Press, River Page over there, has a pretty in-depth article talking about the white man. He's a Canadian white man who pretended to be black to get published.
Oh, yeah.
A young poet pretended to be a gender-fluid member of the Nigerian diaspora and wrote intentionally bad poems. And he says that he got 47 of them published. Some of them he was only paid as little as like $10 for. But he kept having issues getting his own work published as like a white Canadian male. He's 29 years old. This is the first time he's kind of like outed himself and given his real name to River Page over there.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he just got so frustrated at people who were, his name is Aaron Barry and he's 29, how he got so frustrated at people that were like pretending poems were good because they were written by people of a victim group. Do you want to hear some of the poems that he wrote? Okay. This was, by the way, this was nominated for the 2025 Best of the Net Award. All right. To question or not to question William Shakespeare's question, little thing I'm not going to say. That is the question. I want Billy Bard to spank my big juicy Fanny while he pens his sexy sophisticated plays. No, Edward de Vere, conspiracy here. If I'm lucky, Daddy will dress me up like one of his stage players. And question, my question, I need to Ophelia, him inside me. Ophelia, Ophelia.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on. It's horrible.
All right. So listen, everybody.
This is what it was nominated for an award. And as River Page points out, quote, if you're worried that I'm about to tell you why this poem is good and imply that you're a bumpkin for thinking otherwise, don't be. The poem isn't good. It's bad. And it's meant to be bad. And that the author of it, this young man, told him so.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Everybody, I talk unintended consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how humans work, but it's also how animals work, is how nature works. First things first, you go, we need more people of color, more representation. And you can say in the annals of the poet papers, or it could be the halls of UCLA, or it could be this medical facility where we train surgeons, or it could be a cockpit.
Yep.
You just go, first things first, you go, why not more women? Why not more indigenous people? Why not more diversity? Whatever. It always starts with the process people making a proclamation, and it's fine. And I don't think there should be pushback, but people don't, because they don't know the unintended consequences of everything. So they go, all right, I'm with you. Should be more poets of color, should be more surgeons of color, should be more female pilots, whatever that is. Now, I don't sign off on that premise. I just want whoever wants to be a pilot and can do it the best. That's my thing. I don't want to artificially try to pad the numbers of the female.
Yeah, we don't need another Malaysia flight.
Right. That sounds a little scary to me, but all right. So they do that. Now, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't just keep admitting black kids into UCLA. We got to make some room. So you go, all right, we're going to have to take in more black applicants and less Asian. So now we have a problem.
Turns out the Supreme Court agreed.
Now we're turning people away. And if you want more poets of color, you're going to have to turn away ones of non-color to make room for more poets of color. And then at some point, you're going to find out that maybe there's not enough poets of color because it's too difficult and they don't have a background in poetry. So we're going to lower the bar in order to get more poets of color or more pilots of color or more anything of color, because historically that's not what their training or background is. So now we're lowering it, and now we have surgeons who aren't as qualified. But then there's another part. You're going to have people who would like to go to UCLA or like to be pilots and who aren't black and aren't Asian or aren't lesbian or aren't anything. And they go, what if I said I was black? Or what if I said I was 1/4 Cherokee or something like that? Then I could get into this place. So it's basically like going, look, I would like to use the handicap parking right in the front of the Costco because I wouldn't have to search around for a place to park in the back and have to schlep all my stuff. And someone goes, yeah, but you're fine. And I go, yeah, but my ankle's a little sore. And then you go, your ankle's sore? You seem fine. But what if I got a note from my doctor saying my ankle was sore and then I could park? That's all people do.
Yep.
So your first move of we need more black poets is fine. It's everything that comes after it that corrupts and ruins everything.
Yeah, and this is what he says. He said that he started doing this because he was mad. He was trying to break out as a poet, writing under his real name, and he noticed that certain journals that had what he described as, quote, really weird and quite specific requirements. He says, I was not in the demographic that they would consider accepting in some cases. They were openly advocating on their websites for the voices of the disenfranchised and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, wow, it would probably be a lot easier to get in if I had some sort of connection to these identities. And one of the people, I guess, after he wrote a whole Reddit and Substack post about this, outing himself.
Yes.
And apparently a couple of the websites, the poet sites that he had gotten paid and posted on, demanded their money back because they were like, you're like a cis white male and there are too many of those in poetry and you're the problem. And
these people all hate the people on the left. They all hate nepotism, the rich guy's son, the senator's son.
Unless it's Hunter Biden.
Unless it's Hunter Biden. All their kids go to Harvard, by the way. I wonder how they got there.
Yep.
All their genius kids. But they say they hate nepotism. And your dad he's got a lot of money and he gets you into this college. Well, what's the difference between that and saying you're American Indian or saying you have a black mom or something? It's all just a game to try to get to the front of the line. And that's the natural human condition.
And apparently this goes pretty far back, that now literary agents and publishers are saying that they can't even get editors at these companies to read first novels by young white male writers, no matter how good they are. They're, quote, just not interested.
Right. So.
And by the way, isn't like the book industry kind of dying? Like you think that if you existed in an industry that's dying, you would be like, maybe we should reform this and see what the audience wants to read instead of what we think needs to be put out there.
Well, all I'll say to everybody is check the ratings for the Oscars, because the Oscars used to be as big as the Super Bowl, and check the ratings for the Super Bowl, which is a pure meritocracy. Mm-hmm. People stop watching the Oscars because of shit like this. Mm-hmm. And when they turn on the Super Bowl and 10 out of the 11 defensive players on the Kansas City side of the ball are black, no one says anything.
Yep.
Because it's a meritocracy.
Yep.
All right, let's go out on our happy meritocracy note. Glad you got to say hi to Steve Hilton.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, Steve Hilton for governor.com or gov.com. I have the wrong one on my bio here. You can go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows, and you can check out the weekly op-ed for Elisha Krauss at the Washington Examiner. And also, you can check out me and Drew doing our show on Substack, and you can listen wherever you listen to finer podcasts. Go to AdamCarolla.com for that. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Steve Hilton and Elisha Krauss saying, mahalo.